Ladies and gentlemen, I have some absolutely terrible news. Hank is officially broke. The fame has gone to his head and he spent his last $10 on this Costco hot dog with eyes. So we are taking his prized Nvidia RTX 5080, which he miraculously scored at an MSRP of $999 many moons ago. And we are replacing that $1,000 RTX monstrosity for an ancient relic. An absolutely goated graphics card from 9 years ago that we scored at Micro Center for an unbelievable $90. The RTX 1080. But before we introduce our Lord and Savior, let's bring out the 5080. We got this bad boy by pure luck when we walked into Micro Center one Saturday afternoon to buy some Mountain Dew when we saw it on sale for $999. Crazy to think about now because 5 months later, it's somehow selling at $1,400. So we're gonna try and claw some money back on this bad boy so Hank can get the 5090. Yes! So he can get out of debt and be financially responsible. Liar! This is the PNY edition with only 16 gigabytes of VRAM. Considering you can get a 9060 XT with the same amount of VRAM for $350 or the 5060 Ti for $430, it is bonkers that they didn't throw 24 gigabytes of VRAM in this thing, but it is Nvidia, mate, so why would they? This thing is a chonky 3-slot design, same size as Frank, so we will need a big case to throw this thing in, but we have that covered, mate. Don't you worry about that. But anyway, let's move on. Ain't nobody got time to talk about this $1,400 ripoff. Let's bring in a GTX card from a simpler time, before Nvidia and Jensen were consumed by greed. Released in 2016, a stunning 9 years ago, but packing a massive 8 gigabytes of VRAM. The same as the 5060 and 9060 XT released mere months ago in 2025. The undisputed king of graphics cards in Hank's opinion, the GTX 1080.
That's what I'm talking about.
Micro Center had this Rogue Strix version refurbished on sale for $90, so we just had to get it. A beautiful 3-fan design that has RGB once it's hooked up, and this thing looks as new as the day Jensen gave birth to it.
What?
Not quite the same size as the 5080 or Frank, but still pretty large. If we throw Hank into the mix, you can see why he is broke, because he has spent all his money on treats.
Bruh.
These cards are only about 4/10 the size of this fat boy. And to be honest, mate, if I'm gonna rate appearance, Hank obviously wins. He is beauty personified. But this 9-year-old 1080 card is stunting all over the 5080, mate, and it has ARGB while the 5080 is just a stale old fella. We are in love with this thing. Today is gonna be a special episode, mate. We are building two very different PCs, one spec'd up to match the 5080's performance with an open box 9800X 3D and 1000 watts of balls to the wall power. And the other will be running the 1080 on the goated Ryzen 3600 AM4 platform. But stick around to the end, mate, because if you are paying $1,400 for this 5080 GPU, you should be able to run it with no upscaling at 4K and ultimate graphics and ray tracing, right? And it should surely beat out a 9-year-old $90 graphics card running 1080p lower graphics, right?
Nope.
Well, we're gonna find out and benchmark these puppies against each other and answer whether you should build a roughly $500 PC with decade-old components to game in 2025, or spend your entire month's rent to get the latest and greatest graphics card to play Car Dealer Simulator at 4K ultimate graphics with ray tracing set to ultimate. And shameless plug here, go and check out our gaming channel after this. Hank is seriously ripping people off selling some used cars after rolling back the odometers. What a cheeky little bugger he is. All right, Sheilas and fellas, enough of my pathetic begging for you to watch a grown man play video games. Time to build this monster, and we wanted this baby to be tough. So we went with this B650E Tough Gaming Wi-Fi by Asus. $119 refurbished from Micro Center. Definitely not our best deal, and it's not going to win Motherboard of the Year at the B650 beauty pageant later in September. But we've used this before, and it worked well. It has a USB-C connector, 3 M.2s, Wi-Fi 6E, and decent VRMs, mate. The AM5 market is pretty dreadful right now, and Micro Center offers 90-day return policy and test these boards to make sure they post. And just look at these pins, mate, as straight as a ruler, so we'll take her. The real star of the show, however, is this open box 9800X 3D we got back in May of this year for $399 from Micro Center. She's been sitting in our garage waiting for the right build, and we finally found it. 8 cores, 16 threads, and the 3D V-Cache makes this thing the best pure gaming CPU out there. This CPU used to be $470 brand new in Micro Center when we got it back in May, so we thought we got a great deal. But But looking at Micro Center right now, it's $399 brand new. So technically we got ripped off, but we snoozed and we losed, mate. But as long as she posts, we will be happy.
Yeah, baby.
Moving on, and we featured a RAM kit that was sent from Orico last week. That was an incredible $92 for CL30 ARGB, mate. But if you thought we were done with Orico, oh no, mate. We saved the best until last, because for this build, they sent us this 32GB CL32 kit clocked at 6,400 mega transfers per second. And you can get this bad boy right now for $84 on Amazon, mate. For these speeds and timing, that is absolutely unheard of. And just look at the finish on these bad boys. It ain't that cheap plastic garbage you're used to, mate. You get this nice polished aluminum finish, and look at it, mate. We are absolutely in love. Thanks for sending them, Orico. And hey, get that long R booty over here and push these sticks in, buddy.
Whoa.
Next up, the M.2, mate, and if you are an OG of this channel, you know what it is. Kingston 1TB, 6,000 megabytes per second, best bang for buck M.2 out there. This thing is usually around $52 to $60 on Amazon, but we scored an Amazon warehouse deal for $44 and unfortunately went ham on that. Look at how many of these we got, mate. We seriously need help. So if you are looking for variety in the M.2 space on this channel, the door is right here, mate. Don't let it hit you on the way out. We are not sponsored by Kingston, mate, and we have turned down M.2 sponsors before, because as I always say, just get any Gen 4 1 or 2 terabyte M.2 from a reputable brand at 5,000 megabytes per second or above, and Bob's your uncle, mate. You are gonna be set. But Kingston, seriously, reach out to me, mate. I am sick of shilling for free. Send Hank some treats or something, you freeloaders. And if this isn't every man's dream, then I don't know what is. A completed 9800X 3D motherboard and a long fat sausage sitting on a desk. Unfortunately, though, we need a second completed motherboard for our 1080 build, mate. Not this long slinker. So a little bit of hocus pocus and wha-bam! Hank is now a fully fledged Asus TUF B550 motherboard rocking 32GB of DDR4 RAM and a Ryzen 3600, mate. Now I can hear you all sitting behind your screen saying, but Weenie Man, price for DDR4 went up. Why are you still building with it? Well, as I said before, mate, when you see a good deal, you go for it. And this box right here was full of 32GB kits of DDR4 RAM that we got for $40 back on Black Friday on Amazon last year. And we still got a couple of Ryzen 3600s left that we got for $50 from our good old AliExpress days before the tariffs came in and ruined them for us living in America, mate. The motherboard that we got was $79 open box from Amazon, and it's been sitting in our garage for months, mate. Only two M.2s. Surprisingly, a very similar rear I/O to our B650 board, has a USB-C, but it only comes with Wi-Fi 6, and it doesn't have an I/O shield pre-attached, mate, so we hate it. But back to the star of the show, the 9800X 3D build, and this is one hot fella. So for the cooling, we are going with the Frozen Warframe Ultra AIO with LCD screen and beautiful red accents.
Nice.
$93 off Amazon, which is an insane deal for an AIO with an LCD screen, but mate, Thermalright has been doing this for months, mate. We love ya. The LCD screen is magnetic, so it can be removed during installation, which is very handy, mate. And I know you want to see Infinity fans, but unfortunately our case doesn't have them, so we are sticking with these stock fans. I can hear you all booing at home, but don't worry, mate. Our other build is going to have so much Infinity in it that you'll be thanking me we left this at stock, mate. Otherwise, Buzz Lightyear will explode. And before we move on, mate, a quick round of applause for Hank and Frank. They built both of these boards completely by themselves. I didn't do any of that, so let's give them a reward. For Hank, the Costco Glizzy. And for Frank, the Costco Pizza Pie, mate. We got both of these toys from Costco, mate. We love it over there. It's basically our second home outside of Micro Center. But enough glazing these massive corporations. Get out of here, you two. We want to see the case because this thing is looking absolutely stunning, mate. Montech King 95 Pro. We built in their 65 Pro variant a few weeks ago and they were great. This is a similar case, but it's on steroids, mate. We got it from Micro Center open box for $110. It's usually $159, so not bad. But as you saw last week with the Z890 motherboard, that didn't work. You live by the open box and you die by the open box, mate. Because look at this thing. The fans were absolutely filthy. I don't know what the previous owners were doing with this thing because you had 30 days to return this to Micro Center once you open the box. But don't worry, mate, because once we gave it a good clean for $115, it was worth it. It comes with 5 reverse blade intake ARGB fans, 2 of them being 140mm, and then an additional exhaust fan at the back, mate. It comes with a beautiful aluminum feeling finish with an ARGB strip on the front, USB-C and 2 USB 3s on the front I/O, an ARGB fan hub, and a huge amount of room to build with. The only issue we have with this case is it's extremely heavy, mate. But as you're all all aware, we are 6'5" and 225 pounds of pure muscle, so that's no problem for us, mate, and the slinker is strong as hell. And for this RTX 5080, we will need 1000 watts of power, so for all of our OG viewers, you're probably thinking, finally, he's going to use something outside of a PVA, right?
For the love of God! Please!
Wrong! A PVA 1000 watts, 80 plus gold, TSC on the PSU tiers list, monolithic beast for 80 bucks on Amazon, mate. 80 bucks for a 1000 watt power supply in 2025? That is bonkers. It's non-modular, but this case is bigger than Drake's house, so it's not gonna matter, mate. And importantly, it comes with this 600 watt PCIe 5 connector. So it's ready to plug into the 5080, mate, and we love it. I've had people cry in the past about us using a PVA, mate, but they have been so good to us. Not a single faulty unit. TSC is all you need for a gaming PC, mate. We are not sponsored by a PVA, mate. We just love a good budget deal, and if it ever broke for a customer, we'd replace it for them regardless. Time to yeet the motherboard into this case, and just look how much space is down there, mate. This thing is so big that Frank has been using it as his house. Just watch out, mate, because those fans are extremely dirty and you'll probably catch chlamydia.
Oh, hell no!
Screw it all in and wire this baby up. If you are looking for a full build guide with all the wiring included, we will link a video down below. But mate, we got to get this whole thing built so we can battle the 5080 against the 1080, so let's keep it moving. Another great thing about Montec cases is you can take the whole thing apart very easily. It's all toolless, so just rip the top off, slide your radiator in like so, secure it with 2 screws up the top while your stuffed dog supervises, then just throw the rest of the screws in with your fancy screwdriver. The link for this screwdriver is down below. We've used it for 6 months and it's been absolutely great, mate. Time to mount the pump head, but for God's sakes, remove the protective sticker or LeBron James will request a trade to yet another team and play for another 10 years in the NBA. We love us some LeBron James, mate. Will you be sad if he retires this year? And should he retire a Laker or go back to the Cavs and try and bring one more chip to Ohio? Let me know down below in the comments, and the reason I'm asking is to try and distract you from the absolutely abysmal thermal paste application. It kept getting stuck on the syringe, mate. We are so bad at building PCs. You do not need this much thermal paste, but we're an absolute fiend when it comes to paste, mate.
You suck!
Will putting this much thermal paste on your CPU actually make it cooler? Absolutely not, mate, but it's not gonna hurt it either, so just throw on as much as you want. Once the pump head is on, screw it down little by little each side until it's on nice and tight. Throw the LCD screen on and remove the protective sticker, and JoJo Siwa is your wife, mate. You are good to go. And Hank is finally ready to insert the RTX 5080, mate. Look how excited and cute he is looking. He's never inserted it before himself. We've always done it, but we've been training for him to do it with his paws, and he is ready to, excuse me, mate.
What the dog doing?
What are you doing?
Bruh.
Alrighty then, he's just grabbed Frank and disappeared. Mate, this channel is seriously falling apart. While he has perfected his skills in making his brother disappear, we are now in our 4th week of magic school and have learned the art of making things appear, mate. Here is our magic unwashed white towel that we use for our shower, mate, and a little bit of hocus pocus, and boom, baby! Our completed AM4 PC with 10 infinity fans has magically appeared in front of us with the stunning GTX 1080 Strix GPU ready to throw in, and she is looking beautiful. I'll introduce the case and the rest of the stuff soon enough, but we need Hank back for the double insertion of the GPU, and he loves one thing in this world: broccoli, baby. So let's throw it right here, give it one squeak, and I guarantee he'll come running back. Just give it a second. And mate, it's like taking candy from a baby. He is so predictable.
You're so stupid!
All right, buddy, sit right here for me. And ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the critically acclaimed double insertion of the GPUs. Yeet them right into the top PCIe slot and our PCs will be done.
That's too easy!
And look at that, mate. Even with the Chungus 5080, we are still one-handing this fella in there. Thanks to our PVA power supply, we got this 600 watt cable that we could plug directly inside to the GPU. Some people prefer to use the adapters that come with these GPUs to be safe, as there was cases of these things exploding, but it should be fine, right, mate? Let's just throw it in and see. And there she is, and shout out to PNY, mate. There is literally no sag on this thing at all, despite it weighing 52 kilos. Great job, mate. And ASRock, take notes. We've bought 3 of your GPUs, and all of them sagged harder than Snoop Dogg.
Bruh.
And speaking of sagging, mate, this 1080 Strix is sagging lower than your grandmama's tit.
It's time to stop!
All right, mate, this is a PG channel. Take it easy. We installed this sag bracket. The link is down below. It attaches to the fans. She just lifts up like this onto the GPU, and it's now looking fine and dandy like sour candy, mate. The cable extensions are from Okinos, 19 bucks on Amazon, link below as well, and it looks so much better than the original cables, mate. Let's go turn these beauties on. Sheilas and fellas, we've got 2 premium gaming PCs and the entire gang is here. Hank, Pizza,
What?
Costco Glizzy with eyes,
What in the
Broccoli Man,
What?
Snake,
What the hell is even that?
and Hank's Costco executive membership.
What?
Frank is still recovering from Hank's attack earlier, but he will be back. Don't you worry about that, mate. Now let's get 2 firm handshakes from our real long boy and we will turn these things on. And goodness gracious me, look at these things. This is like Kong versus Godzilla, mate. I don't know which one to cheer for. Let's get this long boy out of the way so we can break these things down. And once we look at these things up close, they're looking even more phenomenal. On the left, we have the bankrupting ultra high-end monolithic structure. And yes, mate, I know it needs cable management, but to distract you from that, we've got Hank on the LCD screen. And just look at this boy, mate. Let's show him really quickly. Yeah, buddy, that's you. Do you like it? He doesn't care, mate, but he's the cutest thing since sliced bread. We love you, buddy. And let's move to the PC on the right. This ultra-budget $500 Rainbow Puke Spittin' Infinity masterpiece, mate. She is looking sensational. The GPU is stuck to orange at the moment, mate, and I think you can change it using software on the motherboard, but we haven't even installed Windows on this buggy yet. So she's stuck for now, but if we turn the ARGB to orange, mate, my God, I've almost fainted because this thing is looking incredible.
Damn, boy.
We built this baby in the Sama Neview 25081A, $82 on Newegg and one of our favorite cases of all time. So much so that we built our dream gaming PC in this. We've linked the full video down below if you want to watch it afterwards, mate, but we love it. It comes with 4 Infinity ARGB fans, an ARGB fan hub, curved glass, and even though it's absolutely unbelievable value, we threw another 7 Infinity fans in there, mate. These fans were $5 each by Dark Rock. I've linked a few different Infinity fans down below that you can buy from Amazon. Don't waste your money on Lee, mate. These things look incredible for about 1/10 of the cost. Circling back to the Montech King 95 Pro with the RTX 5080 and the Ryzen 7 9800X 3D, mate. And I think this thing should be hung in a museum. This is a masterpiece. 9 fans total with the Glizzy on the AIO and the ARGB strip on the front is the creme de la creme, mate. Mwah! Chef's kiss. We like the case and it was a dream to build in, and while slapping 9 Infinity fans in this bad boy would have made it a perfect 10 out of 10, these fans are still looking beautiful, mate. We'll give it a 9.5. But what is even more beautiful, mate, is the price. For an RTX 5080 build with an 9800X 3D, we managed to sneak this in under 2,000 American clamshells, baby. $1,949. Now, that ain't cheap, but for this level of build, the cheapest one we could find on Jawa.gg with the same CPU and GPU combo was these 3 babies right here, with the lowest being $2,900. Moving over to Micro Center, and the cheapest build we could find with these specs is $2,800, and this thing looks like absolute dog balls. But let me know down below, did we cook or are we cooked with this build, mate? But if you think that pricing is good, the historic RTX 1080 Ryzen 3600 pairing comes in at exactly 500 United States hamsters. Almost 4 times cheaper than the RTX 5080, but we have never used the 1080 before in a build, mate, so we can't tell you if that's great value or not. But I can tell you right now, you ain't finding a better looking PC build for $500 with 10 Infinity fans and curved glass. This thing is up there with one of the best looking builds we've ever done. The time for talking is over. Let's benchmark these bad boys and see if the RTX 5080 can actually run games at 4K ultimate settings with no upscaling, and if the 1080 can keep up at 1080p, mate. Sweet heaven, Sheilas and fellas, I'm excited for this one. Alright, Sheilas and fellas, so quick disclaimer, we are not a benchmarker, just an idiot playing video games, so take all of this with a grain of salt. We are putting the $1,000 made in 2025 RTX 5080 at ultimate graphics, ray tracing on and no upscaling, up against the GTX 1080 made in 2016 with high graphics and a bit of upscaling at 1080p to see which performs better. And starting out with Fortnite, and I think a lot of people don't realize, this game is actually incredibly hard to run at 4K highest settings with ray tracing on and native upscaling. We jump into the game with the RTX 5080 and average under 60 frames per second, mate, and the 1% lows aren't pretty either. So while it looks gorgeous at a standstill, it's a stuttery mess. Now, would anyone ever play Fortnite competitively at these settings? Absolutely not, mate. If we put it in performance mode with graphics set to low but epic view distance and upscaling set to TAA and DirectX 12, you're at around 280 frames per second, mate, so definitely worth paying the $1,000, am I right? Hell no! Anyway, moving on to our 9-year 9-year-old graphics card that we got for $90, and we throw it in 1080p performance mode, but in DirectX 12, and look at this, mate. 177 frames per second averages, 1% lows are excellent. This thing was running so smooth, and we were clapping some serious booty cheeks in this game. So much so that we won the entire thing, mate. Epic victory royale. Unbelievable. We destroyed all these 10-year-old sweats running this game on their 5090, mate. We actually posted a more intensive version of this gameplay over on our gaming channel, so go check it out if you want to see it, because it was seriously sweaty in the server that we in, but we won somehow. But back to the analysis, mate, and the GTX 1080 curb stomps the RTX 5080 for performance per dollar here, mate. Next up, Marvel Rivals, and it's more of the same. We set it to ultimate settings, no upscaling, ray tracing on with a $1,000 2025 graphics card, and it gets you under 70 frames per second averages and is very stuttery thanks to some dreadful 1% lows. You're telling me I am purchasing the second best 50 series Nvidia graphics card available in the quadruple digits of cash, and you can't run ultimate graphics? Gaming is such a mess right now, seriously. But hey, if you like fake frames, mate, set your DLSS to ultra performance and frame gen to 4x, and you get a glorious 300 frames per second, mate. What a deal! Nvidia makes me sick. Moving back to their glory days with the GTX 1080, and this thing actually shocked me. We had this set to 1080p high settings with upscaling set to native. Weirdly, you can't even use DLSS on this card, mate. You had to use AMD FSR3, and this game actually ran smoother than the 5080 at 4K. Averages of 55 frames per second, so it was lower there, but the 1% lows of 49 made it very smooth. What's even crazier is you can set everything to ultra and use FSR3 in performance mode and AMG frame gen on this thing, and the averages go above 100 frames per second and runs incredibly smooth, mate. Now, does it look great? Absolutely not. There's so many artifacts. But again, would you ever play with ultra settings on these competitive games? Nah, you wouldn't, mate, but it's the principle. A 9-year-old GTX card at 1080 at native resolution high settings feels better than a $1,000 RTX card at ultra settings, mate. What a world we live in. Next up, we move to the finals. We are starting to love this game. We get a lot of eliminations, but we never win because I still have no idea what is going on. When we run the RTX 5080 with the 9800X 3D at max settings and native upscaling, it gave us an average of just under 80 FPS. Wow, we are so impressed, mate. Not. Throwing upscaling and frame generation to the max, and OMG, it gave us over 300 frames per second. We love frame generation and upscaling, mate. It is so great. I am joking, obviously. We are so salty right now. Now, what about if we use the GTX card, mate? This thing is older than Hank, but at 1080p high settings, it's giving us 70 frames per second, mate. 10 less than Nvidia's flagship 2025 4K card that costs 10 times more than this ancient wildebeest. Am I crashing out for no reason, or is this insane? Let me know down in the comments below. The game feels great on the GTX 1080, and mate, the 8GB of VRAM has not been limiting at all. FYI, I don't have problems with buying used older cards with 8GB of VRAM. As you can see, all these games play fine at 1080p. It's the fact that Nvidia and AMD are releasing brand new cards with 8GB of VRAM in 2025. Anyway, mate, with this $500 build, we get the most eliminations by far, so that's another win for budget gaming. And last but not least, Warzone Resurgence, and the RTX 5080 finally gets a win, mate. It runs 110 frames per second averages with everything set to extreme graphics and native resolution, and it did feel very smooth. Is that impressive though? Meh, you'd hope it could run at 144 frames per second, given that most 4K monitors can run at this setting, but I guess $1,000 GPU beggars can't be choosers, mate. The GTX 1080 struggled here though, 1080p balance set to native, and it was a stuttery mess with averages down in the 40s. Adding in upscaling to performance did get it to the 70s, mate, and it was playable. Look at us on the sniper. We are taking souls, but you can see it looks pretty terrible, so if you're a Warzone fanatic, this is the only game that I'd say it had a problem running at 1080p with decent graphics. So let me know down below, mate. Did you like the builds? I think the GTX 1080 $500 build was terrific, given it had 9-year-old hardware in it. And personally, I like the aesthetic a lot more than the RTX 5080 because we are addicted to Infinity fans. But with all that said, get out of here, mate. Me and the weenie love ya. Goodbye.